I'm good, not feeling good, you know what I mean? It's a Monday, but you know what I mean? Happy that we're all one second. I've got the stream open on another window, so I'm getting double Sully audio. Not bad. But yeah, no, I'm good, feeling good. Looking forward to get this, get another episode under our belts. But yeah, that's me.
I feel the same way, bro. I came straight from work, literally finished work. I've taken my clothes off, I've changed, I'm straight into the stream. We're feeling it. We're feeling it.
And we are joined by, my mic wasn't working at the beginning there, so I'm sorry everyone. Welcome to the mayor's office. We are joined by an honorary. Every time, bro, I mess the mic up.
Just telling everybody how I'm doing, like I'm prompted.
Well, I do it on purpose at this point. I'm joined by honorary guest Mystic, fresh off of his performance at the DNF World Tour Finals. How you doing, Mystic?
Hello, everybody. Yes, it's me, Le Mystique. It's good to be. You know, I remember I came on the mayor's office like ages ago.
Yeah,
it's been like over a year ago. But it was like really fresh, so that's it's good that everyone's back here. We got Suleiman this time, you know.
The new joiner.
Very little roster, honestly. 3 amazing guys, for sure.
The main reason I remember that last episode was because I remember when you got off of it, you went, "Yeah, I looked fit in that episode. I can't lie, I was looking good."
I think. What were we talking? Yeah, we will talk about some Street Fighter.
I think it was Street Fighter stuff, yeah. Right, so we'll jump into it, right? So, me and Mystic are fairly well endowed with the DNF community, so we know what the goings on, we know the players, we know the scene, we know the meta a little bit. Cal and Sully aren't as well knowledgeable with it, so it's going to be kind of a back and forth here, and we're going to do a little bit of an introduction to DNF for everyone in the audience, so that you can kind of get caught up with the game. So, like, I'm going to let Mystic take the wheel here, like, what a quick top to bottom of DNF and the competitive scene and how you chose your character as well, because your characters, you've gone through 2 characters right now, and just give us a quick lowdown on why you picked those characters.
Right, so DNF, it's still like a fairly new game, right? So it came out in June of 2022.
Yep.
And since then it's been like, you know, it's had a bumpy start, but you know, it's still one of my favorite games that I've played in recent memory. It's just like, I think everyone's sort of, you know, they've seen gameplay of it, they have mixed opinions, whatever, right? But it was on the Arc World Tour for 2022, and I was able to qualify there from an event in America called CEO Otaku, which is like a spin-off of CEO in Orlando, Florida. So yeah, I'm a big advocate for the game. Played it since its launch in its betas. It's really, really fun. It reminds me a lot of like a very, it's not like Street Fighter, but it's for an anime game. I guess the pace is a bit more, you know, grounded, I suppose. Like it's not got an air dash, for example. Hasn't got air block, so you know, sort of similar mechanics to Street Fighter in that sense, in like neutral. But you know, it is very. I guess the word is like kusoge. Like it is a bit random at times. It is an anime game at the end of the day. But, you know, you can sort of understand the neutral game if you were to watch it. So that's what I like about it. You know, it can be paced really well. Yeah. But so I played the game for a while. During the first patch of the game, I played a character called Hitman. And Hitman was like, he was a ridiculously busted character. I'll just say it. He was ridiculous. I got really lucky. Yeah, I played him since the betas. He was definitely known on Twitter for being a very detested character because he had the cancelable DP, which is pretty insane. Like, so cancelable DP on whiff, block, or hit. So, and on the first patch of the game, it wasn't punishable. So that was another pretty crazy thing.
You had to hold it.
Yeah, Boggins, you know, the first knows all about that, so he's playing the game as well. Really ridiculous.
Hold on, so like he just had that out to jump. Is that just a move you could just fling out whenever?
It was part of like a V-trigger system, essentially. So when you hit a certain threshold of health, you got these extra abilities, and Hitman got access to like kind of like a Grenadian kind of for some of his moves, where he could follow up with like a clone, and he could make his DP safe on block, and you could juggle out a bit for a ton of damage. And that was like the big Hitman thing for season 1.
Yeah, so basically his awakening was called Shattering Strike, which meant that his special attacks, so his MS moves that cost him mana gauge in the game, have a follow-up called Shattering Strike, where you just press the button again, and like these 2 clones will come out of Hitman, do like a strike upwards.
Yep.
But the problem was, you know, he can cancel his specials, and his DP is a special move. So you could cancel his DP into this safe on block strike attack, which also did a shit ton of damage. So that was pretty overwhelming for like a lot of the cast. So yeah, very strong character. I qualified with him at Orlando and also in France.
Yeah.
But since the patch, so the patch came out in like a few months back. I think it was like December or something.
Yeah, it was a while back.
And Yeah, so they released what was called the Grand Patch for DNF, and it basically buffed every character, right? Like that was like the tagline for the patch. It was all buffs. That's what they said themselves. All buffs. Buff. And it really did show. Like the game, it definitely got 10 on its head, like quite a lot. So characters that were otherwise not so viable last patch did become viable. Like I think as of right now, so since the Grand Patch hasn't been touched, the Grand Patch made every character viable. Every character can be played, whereas last patch it was very overwhelming. Like there was like 5 characters that I realistically see winning a tournament. But nowadays it's like almost every character can win a tournament. Yeah. So yeah, in that way it's really good. And since the Grand Patch came out, a character that was really, really bad, I'll say really bad last patch was Vanguard. Yeah. But he got some very significant buffs in the patch that had dropped. And he was always one of my favorite characters to watch. Because like his playstyle sort of like spoke to me, you know, he had this like really long range, like a spear attack, you know, neutral based character. I liked it a lot. Yeah. And his buffs made him so it was like, yeah, this character is definitely viable now. I still think he's like, he's not top tier, but he's high tier now. And like going from like arguably the worst character in the game to like a high tier character, like they did a lot with him that I really, really like, and I still do like. So he was the character that I took into the finals, and I've been playing him since the patch came out. Hitman is still ridiculous. You know, you could still probably say he's like top 5, but he didn't really get changes. Like he was already so strong that the main point of the patch was to bring characters up to his standard, which they did do pretty well. Like I would say he blends well in the cast right now. Like, he isn't like, oh, it's Hitman and everyone else. He blends in really well. So they did a good job with that, and like still really strong. He's still probably better than Vanguard, but I prefer Vanguard's playstyle. Yeah. And like I said, Hitman, he didn't really get any changes. He did get like some things, obviously all buffs, but like nothing that really made him shine as like a new sort of character. Whereas Vanguard, he got completely revamped. So for my fun and enjoyment of the game, sorry, I made. No, go for it.
It's interesting because when the game. Sorry, when the game first came out, Cal actually played Vanguard as well.
I was literally gonna say because I was super interested in the game. I never got into the betas, but like I liked the DFO. Like I remember watching content.
Oh really?
I was like, oh man, I want to play that game. And basically when DNF came out, I was like, it's kind of my way of getting into the world of it by playing a fighting game, because we love fighting games. And straight away, the only character I wanted to play was Vanguard. I didn't give a shit about tiers, because I was like, I'm never going to compete. I was like, I just want to play somebody that I like. Played Vanguard. I think I got deity with Vanguard like pretty early on, which I was really happy with. And then everyone's like, bro, you're playing the worst character in the game. I was like, oh, oh okay.
I agree. He definitely was. In my opinion, he was the worst character in the game last patch.
He was really bad, yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I think I actually played the beta as well, and I think I messed around with Vanguard a bit, but then I got hit by like 1 or 2 moves that were like very like I don't know. I'm not sure. Like I've seen the odd match of DNF though, and there is those block strings last for like a good long time.
Last for
like I was watching like I've seen like a Crusader block strings that lasted for like an hour. I got hit with like maybe a fraction of that on the beta. I'm like, okay, this game's not for me.
It's definitely an anime game. It's definitely an anime game.
Do you know what's weird though, man? Like when we were playing, like in the early days, like Swiftmaster used to kick my arse. Ghostblade used to kick my arse. But like the rest of the cast, I was like, I'm actually not too bad against. I'm actually doing okay. There's a character fit me really well, but I never played him when the new patch came out. I'd sort of dropped the game, so. It's cool to hear that he's actually like quite good now, you know?
Yeah, they gave him a lot of like. Go on, sorry.
He got like a full makeover in what he can do in the neutral specifically, all because he can cancel his special moves into the enders, like raw.
Yeah.
It's the main thing.
That's good actually.
Yeah, so like he sort of revolves around. If you might remember, he was 5M, where he does like these 2 slashes. Yeah. So that was like his like main sort of tool that like you work around. So in the previous patch, he couldn't cancel that on width at all, right? Like in order to cancel that attack, they had to block it, and I think they have to block 2 hits of it, or maybe just the 1 hit. But like regardless, nowadays you can just cancel it whenever you want. So you know, you might remember he had a move called Behead, which was just 4M from 5M. Yeah. Has 3 hits of armor, Well, now you can just do that in neutral if you want. So,
you just whiff it.
well, as the character is very neutral based, he does have a lot of like scumbaggery, which I think you do need in this game.
Yeah,
it's
for
a very
sure.
scumbag heavy game. So, you know, it helps a lot for the character. But, like, yeah, like what Boggin said, got a complete makeover, a lot of really good combo routes. And, you know, I feel like with Vanguard, like, again, like I said, it's just my entertainment for the game. Like, you know, you must have felt it yourself. Like, he just hits really hard. Like, he just slashes you everywhere, man. It's like, you know, his S normals going into each other like wreckers. It feels good to press. It's
See,
amazing.
this is why I have a full-time job, man. I can't be a professional player. Bro. I can't pick, oh, well, he's the best, I'll play him. I want to pick what I want. Like, I got lucky that my character ended up busted as hell in this last season for Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
even
I
if
agree.
he was whack, I would still play him.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's just what I do. I just play characters I want to play. So,
Sure.
yeah, Vanguard, I would
I
have played
don't
him if he
think
was
that's the
bad.
best way to go about it, though. I feel like you'll
yeah,
always
I
do
do,
better with a character than you vibe with,
I completely agree.
rather than a character that's just objectively stronger, but
Like,
you're not 100% feeling it with. Do you know what I mean?
There are some people who, like, I reckon this playing fighting games for years. Like, they can just like pick up like oh yeah, he's a top tier. I'm gonna play that top tier
Yeah.
for free. But like even I struggle with that. Like, I can't really do that. Like I said before, Hitman is probably like the best character I've ever played competitively. Like, he was absolutely ridiculous. But I got lucky. Like, I wanted to play Hitman.
Yeah, he
then the
wanted to
game
play
came
him.
out and he was broken. So like I got lucky up with that. Like Axel Owens in Strive, he's really good now. I think he's like high tier now, but like he used to be like really, really bad. Like people say he's like bottom one. Like I'd still do well with him because he's the character I want to play.
Yeah.
Poison, SF5, broken. But like I wanted to play Poison, so I'm just lucky, you know.
Just getting
So,
lucky.
like it comes down to, at least for me, I want to play this character. I have a desire to get good with this character. I know you guys feel the same, right?
Yeah.
I know we'll probably speak about this later, but you know, Goichi, for example, he is very good at just picking what's very good and just
Very
being the best at it. Like, you know, Swiftmaster was like the best character in DNF last patch.
Yeah.
He played Swiftmaster, qualified immediately. He plays Crusader now. You know, we'll talk about how successful he's been at this patch. So, you know, he's like the example of like this like really great player who can just pick top tier and do amazing. And I sort of envy that. It's just like being sort of businessman. This is what I'm gonna do. This is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna pick the best. It's really, really good.
So speaking of Goichi, ArcRevo World Finals. I want to get onto this.
Yeah.
So before we get onto the performance at ArcRevo's, how did you prep for the event using the EU community? Because you said you were very confident going into this because you had certain training partners to play with to get ready for the event.
Yeah, so thankfully, honestly, I think EU DNF has like a really strong scene. Like it's small, but it's really committed. Like like the active Discord for the game, like it's active like daily. Like if you really wanted to get games, there are definitely people like available to play, and especially like there are some like really strong contenders in EU. Like for example, there was a grappler player at the finals called Kubo from Japan.
Yeah. And
we have a really strong grappler in Europe called Davids. So if I wanted practice for grappler, I could like Davids, let's play. And there's like a strong Dragonite called Boombo, you know, for Lost Soul who was at the finals. So I was like, yeah, okay, I feel ready for that. And the biggest one, and this sort of like worked really well for me going into the finals because my first opponent was Goichi, who was playing Crusader. My favorite DNF player from Europe and my main training partner I played against in the UK is called Mr. E. And he's ridiculous at the game. Like he's an absolute tech monster. Just so much shit. Like just in general, like he's a huge Marvel 3 head. But for DNF, he was really active as well. He plays Crusader, and you know he got top 8 at like the last qualifier for the finals, right? So he's a very, very strong.
Yeah, super strong player.
So I felt confident for Crusader. But you know, Crusader, he's like the best character in the game. Now, I can get all into Crusader later on, but I did feel confident going into the finals. I'll say that with my chest for sure. I had good training.
So I was actually going to ask. So I did watch the ArcRevo World Tour. I watched it just before, like just earlier today. I just watched mainly your matches because I'm just trying to see the experience. Those little videos you guys had to do where you're like basically your characters. So what's the story behind them? I thought those were awesome. Like, so what did they just let you know by the way, or they're like, oh, get ready, get your camera face on. You know what I mean?
I'm happy to talk about this. I actually did want to talk about like the events behind the scenes as well because it was actually such a fun event to be a part of. So basically, I get there on Thursday and wake up on Friday, and it's media day. Like we're not playing or anything. Like it's media day, and then on Saturday is the final. So we go to the venue. where they're hosting everything, and like we see the venue, like say, oh, don't take pictures, this, that, and the other. Go backstage, and there's like this big, like sort of like free training ground where you can like play games as you wait for like to do your photo shoots or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm one of the first ones, right? Because we get there pretty like early. It's like, hey, you Sha and MysticSmash to do your photo shoots. Right? So we're like the first ones. And first of all, we have to get our hair and makeup done. So there's like a little side room where it's like this lady makeup artist. She's like chilling in the back. She says, hey, how's everyone doing? And then Sha goes and does his hair and makeup, and I get on, do my hair and makeup. And we go to the main area where all the photo shoots happening. And Sha says to me, have you seen this, by the way? And I was like, what? And he's like, you come over here. And then he shows me this like table that has like all of these different character labels on them with like sort of like cosplay of the character. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? Like, what? Are we putting these on? He's like, yeah. And like I see that he has like this Ghostblade katana. Like, bro, his was sick. So he plays Ghostblade, right? The guy with the big old sword. And he's been given like this big old sword to like pose with. And I was like, yo, that's amazing. And I see like the Strive players, like Soul has like the headband and his belt. Hitman, who I had gotten, had his glasses and his gloves. But it was a really fun process. So when it was my turn to go up, I've never done anything like it personally. Like it was really, really professional. So like a proper photo shoot. Like they stood me here, so like you stand there, they put like these lights in your face, like there's smoke behind you. So then they showed me like a video on like a laptop. They're like, so as you can see here, we're going to do this. You're going to model this if that's okay. I'm like, yeah, sure. Because at the end of the day, it's fun. Like the guy who runs it called Junior. He said to me like his goal was like to make it different, like make it something that people haven't seen before, make it fun, make it unique. And I was like, yeah, honestly, I'm down for that. Like everyone was like enjoying it as well, because like it's a laugh, innit? Like I saw a lot of people on Twitter like sort of get like a bit iffy about it, like it's cringe, this, that, and the other, like it's cringe. Like I feel like to me personally, there's not really a way to make these sort of esports things not cringe. Like no matter how you do it, like you probably like, been involved in it. I don't know how Gfinity was, but like just doing stuff like this, like it's boring and it's cringe anyways.
Yeah.
So like making it different and unique, and sort of like poking fun at how it's cringe, I think it's cool.
No, yeah, you wanted to inject a little bit of personality with stuff like fighting games. There is a lot of style to it. So like you do want to kind of leverage on like the personality, so people like acting like their characters. It's fun. Like, do you remember when Veggie and Phenom did those like videos?
Yeah,
as well?
They were
sick.
They were so
sick.
Go on. Well, what I think it is, because I think there's two ways to go about it. But if you're going to do the character stuff, it has to be edited well. It has to be.
Yeah.
Because some of the edits were funny, because I watched some of them, and some of them in the the DNF one and the Guilty Gear one were funny as fuck. I was like, oh, but you can laugh at that. Do you know what I mean? And that's enjoyable. Yeah. But if you want to go down the like, we want to make this look really good, you edit it really well. And the editing for that 00 Nation one is like top tier. It's so absolutely sick. So you can make it work. I think it only turns to this like, oh my god, it's cringe if it's just not edited very well. But some of them look great. I mean, I'll be real. I thought they were gonna give you a gun. Like I was like, what are they gonna give him, man? And then you had gloves. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they never do this. Like, to be fair, they did give me a sword as well, because Hitman has a sword. But like you said, like it was funny. Like, although like it is professionally done. I think it is meant to be funny, because like, bro, we're posing as these video game characters. I think it is meant to be funny. Like, I don't know if you saw. I think everyone's favorite one was Nanpon from the DNF one. He plays Striker. His one was so funny. Like he does like Striker's little pose at the end. Like he was really into it. Like that guy was so funny the whole weekend. Like meeting these Japanese players for like the first time. Yeah. Like it was so sick. Like they are so funny, man. It's really amazing. But like so the media day was really fun. I saw everyone's like in the back, like on the day of the tournament, they played like all the intros backstage, and like everyone's like pissing themselves, man. It was so funny. We just loved them all, and like it was fun. So when I saw on Twitter that people were like, oh, it's cringe, this, that, and the other, I get it. Like it is cringe, but it's like it's a fun sort of cringe where it's like it's sort of like I took it as it's sort of like taking the mick out of it. Like it obviously it's all professional. But like,
Yeah.
I don't think they expect like, oh yeah, people are gonna be like, oh wow, this is so cool. Like, it's cringe in a way that's sort of like, it knows it's cringe. That's what makes it cool. Do you know what I mean?
It's endearing. It's just for, like, at the end of the day,
Endearing
like,
cringe, you know?
we're traveling like so, like folk are traveling so far away to play video games. This is not the time to take yourself like so seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That is literally what I would think to myself. Like, but we're all playing games at the end of the day. Like, I'm not saying like it's too much like not be proud of, because like I'm very
Yeah.
proud of what I do.
Oh,
Like, I have
100%,
Yeah.
amazing places. But like at the end of the day, we're having fun. Why not have fun?
Well, the
And
thing
it's
is, people was saying as well that, like, you know, if you want to make it not cringe, I saw the argument of just don't make them do character stuff, let them do their own thing. And I'll tell you from experience, they made us do that at SFL. They were like, just do what you want, and I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah, what do I do?
We're
Yeah.
like having no
Like,
direction.
what do I
makes it
do? And
harder.
that's why you got some really awkward poses in our like lineups, because we were like, what do we do? So I, like, they try to give me suggestions, and I just sort of did it, and then it looks like shit. So. Do you know what I mean? So at least
No,
do
yeah, I
something
get
fun.
you. And I completely agree. I think it was fun, and like it's a very different take to the whole standard esports pose, right? Which people call that cringe. So like, where do you win? How can you win?
Exactly, yeah, like what's
I mean, like,
what's
The
the middle
most
ground between
standard
doing
pose is
this?
called cringe
and, like,
anyway. So it's like,
you-
can't win.
Yeah, you can't get
You'll
more.
never
You can't get more
please.
cringe than the gamer cross arm pose. That is like top tier cringe in my opinion. The serious
Sorry, man.
face, just.
Do you remember we did
Looking stupid,
the posture tier list? Do you remember that for the
The
SSO?
posture tier list, yes,
Yeah,
because they were.
Because some of them were like,
No, it wasn't folding arms. I'll straight up get up to it. So like basically, like I didn't even like reveal my criteria. My camera might blur out. But basically, I wanted people to like standing straight
that was it.
and
Yeah.
like looking at the camera, and like some of the guys were like doing this, their head was like, and some of them were doing this. And stuff like that. So I just posted tier lists and I ranked them. I didn't tell anybody what the
You stuck me in A, and I was like, I'll take that. I don't care what it
The
is.
other thing to get that because I had S rank reserved for I think it was a Kainu and one step layer because those were
Wario one step later.
Perfect.
My
Shout out
God.
to one.
Master
strongest
of posture.
posture in OSL. In
Oh,
OSL,
just in this
SFL.
video.
OSL, EUSFL, yeah.
Oh,
Nah, man. It's just like, I feel like, for me personally, this sort of event is like the most professional like rant thing I've been a part of since like ages ago, like almost like 2 years ago when I went to Spain for Red Bull Gladiators, because I was really professionally done as well,
Yes,
like
yeah.
photo shoots and whatnot. So like almost like a year and a half later, I think it is like a year and a half later, being able to like sort of do that again for such like a high quality event, it's so sick, man. Like I like the whole event, even if like we'll get into like the results or whatever.
Yeah.
Even if it went good, bad, whatever, being able to say that like I was there, like I did this, it's so sick, man. Like I do appreciate the experiences. Like honestly, it was my first time in California as well, only third time in America. It was sick. Like everything was just really nice, man.
And that's the thing as well. Sorry, just quickly, just minus any results, just very quickly. You can never let anyone take that away from you as well. No matter what anybody says, like if you listen to that sort of shit, because that bothered me for a while, like when doing like competition and stuff. It's like, no matter what anyone says, like you were there, they were. Fuck them. Do you know what I mean? So it's great. It's a great feeling to be able to go inside here. I made it. You know.
Yes, I was gonna ask, right? So like when you're talking about like how professional it was and like how like you know just being part of such like a big like type of like high budget or high production value event, did that like contribute to any nerves at all, or did you walk in thinking like, yeah man, this is sick, like I get to reap the rewards of my of my labor here, or did you get like because I can imagine, I feel like it would happen with me that if I saw all that and I'm surrounded by all these players who I know are extremely like competent, I feel like I'd get a bit of imposter syndrome. I'd be like, oh man, this is.
I don't know if here, honestly. I'm kind of shaking.
If I'm being like completely real, I didn't really feel nervous until like I had to actually go on the stage to play my first match, and that's mostly because, like, so it's gonna sound so funny now, but like when I was playing DNF, like obviously I still play it, like, do you know what I mean? Like when I was been playing it, I qualified so many times to be here. I was at 3 events for DNF and I got second, first, and first. So to me, I'm like, dude, I think I'm gonna at least do quite well, because like, you know, I don't really want to go in with too many expectations, but I feel like I'm good enough to do well. Everyone's there for a reason, as am I. I qualified to be there. Everyone else did. I don't think I'm better or worse than them. So at the end of the day, we're gonna go there, play who I have to play, and it'll be good. But then, you know, that's like sort of what I was feeling on like the Friday, the Thursday, traveling there, whatnot. Then it gets to Saturday, and it gets to Saturday morning, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's 1 hour until the tournament starts, guys. And it's like, oh wow, it's actually happening now. I mean, like, and then, like you go out there to like see what's going on, and then you see the audience. Like, they did have an audience there. Like, it was really, really cool.
Yeah.
You see the audience, you see all the lights, you see all the production. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be on there in a sec. Oh gosh, and I'm playing against Goichi, you know, Evo champion. It's like, okay, but it's fine because like at the end of the day, it was fine because like it's not like everyone was like not warmed up. I was warmed up. I was really warmed up. Everyone played their asses off, right? And I think the only thing that I would have been nervous about is playing Goichi. But like that's just because it's Goichi, right? Like it's him, bro. He's him. So I mean, like, but and obviously me and Goichi, we did not play casuals at all, like with each other going into the final. Because obviously we're our first matches, right? So we kept sort of our tech hidden, which I thought was kind of cool. But also I was nervous of what he could do. Because I'll tell you like the funny story, right? So I think it's like 30 minutes or so until me and Goichi have to play on the finals, right? On the final stage. And I go, so basically they gave us like these Astro bags, like these Astro like goodie bags, and I forgot to pick mine up. So I went to one of the setups, right? Because my bag was behind the setup where Goichi was training on.
Yeah.
So I didn't mean to like impose on what he was doing, right? But I could see that he was sort of like labbing with his friend Nanpon, you know, talking in Japanese or whatnot. So I went to go get my bag, and when I went behind them, I didn't even look. By the way, I like their gameplay or whatever, but I remember distinctly they paused the game and like did this. See where I was. I thought it was something because I was told that he was labbing Crusader versus Vanguard. So like, oh yeah, that makes sense because I was labbing myself. But I went to go get my bag, and then when I did, I just remember I just literally just remember he paused the game and immediately turned around to see where I was. I just thought it was so funny, man. I was like, yeah, honestly, I respect that.
They probably had like the key to beating Goichi in that like little bit labbing session. Because long as Mystic doesn't see this. Pause, he's right there. He's right there.
It's not because they were probably eyeing me up, bro. I was like, oh, I didn't mean to like impose. It was just mad funny. Man, like they were awesome the entire weekend, man. Like it's honestly so crazy because like obviously I've met like Japanese players before, but like never really over an entire weekend, like an international sort of event. So being able to talk to them so much, like learn their mindset on certain things, you know, how they view the state of the game, and like it's always like really fun to me, like especially when some of the Japanese players they'll come to me like with their phones, like Google Translate, they're asking me a question. Stuff like one of them asked me if I played League of Legends, for example, which I thought was quite funny. So it was just a bunch of really, really cool stuff, and like also lovely people. Sorry, go on.
I did really want to ask you that. I'm not sure if it's the right time if we want to wait till maybe we talk about results and shit like that.
Yeah.
But I always like to know that when you go to like an event like this, especially international, and you're meeting players that maybe think about the game differently, or they have different styles, or just other super high level guys. Coming away from it, did you really like? Did you learn a lot? Did you come away like with fresh ideas, fresh mindset, and like lessons learned as well?
Yeah, for sure. I think at the time, I'd say I was a bit more sad than anything. I don't know if I was sad. I guess I was sad because obviously we'll get into results, but I wish I could have done better, which is fair enough, right? Because everyone wants to win.
Yeah.
But going out of it, I sort of realized that like I'm in a good spot in the game because literally every casual set that I played was dead even. Like it was either I was slightly losing or slightly winning, or it was even. Like there were no blowouts the entire tournament. And even when I played against Goichi after the tournament, it was really close. Like the games were like really fun, really close. I didn't have a bad time. So having that sort of knowledge, it meant I'm on a good track with this game. If I want to keep pursuing it, I definitely can. And you know I feel really comfortable with my character, my decision making. It's all really good. So. My mindset was like pretty like when I came out of the clouds, out of the rain, I was like, yeah, this is actually really good. Like actually digesting what I had learned, I realized like the whole experience was like obviously it was a good thing, but like it was a great thing. Like you know, there's no point in wishing that it could have gone better or whatever, because you know it's done, and you know it's I got back home. Honestly, I think I was mostly because I was getting back home. I had like an absolute nightmare getting to LA, getting out of LA. It was awful. Like, airports are disgusting, man. They're disgusting, but like, you know, at the end of the day, I was like, yeah, I'm happy with like how the weekend went. because it's a tournament first and foremost, but it's an experience. And like I met Daisuke, who's like the creator of Guilty Gear. Like I met Daisuke, like that's insane. I met also the lead director of DNF Duel. Like I met so many amazing people. I met Sejam for the first time. I met James Chen for the first time. Like it's insane to like meet these people. I'm like, whoa, you know, these people actually exist, and like I've been casually talking to them. Like, and I know it sounds stupid, but like I do feel that way. It's like, wow, this is like really really cool actually.
Yeah.
So
It will be surreal, won't it?
Tournament first, but experience really important to me. So yeah.
Brilliant.
Speaking of the tournament, let's get on to results in it. So
yeah.
on the Saturday, first opponent, you get probably the worst draw you could have possibly gotten, which was Goichi, first round, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit how that match went and how you prepped for it.
Yeah, so going into the finals, right? They did like this draw on stream, like this on the Twitch stream, where they draw up like names from the hats, do like random seeding, which in itself might be a discussion. But yeah, so I got randomly seeded into Goichi, and a lot of people were saying like, wow, they've given us grand finals in the first round, which I might have agreed with, because like, I think me and Goichi could have been a pretty good grand finals match. But you know, that's how it is. Again, it was randomly seeded. We can maybe talk about that later if it's a good thing or not. So me and Goichi were the first round, and honestly, so Goichi, it's a funny one because he qualified at the first DNF Duel qualifier, right? In versus fighting, he beat me in the grand finals, so I knew how strong he was, right? He was playing Swiftmaster, but since then, he didn't enter any sort of like international tournaments or offline tournaments for the game, right? That I know of, like outside of Japan. So I know Goichi is correct in the game because he went to versus fighting to like kill everyone. But you know, I don't know if he's gonna be that good still. Like I know he's been playing the game a lot because he knows he's got the finals coming up. But like, you know, Swiftmaster is nerfed. I know he isn't going to be playing Swiftmaster against me. So like, is this Crusader ready for me? Like this, I know, like, you know, I play against Mr. E so much. So if he plays Crusader, I feel quite comfortable. But at the same time, Crusader is absolutely broken. So like, it might not even matter at the end of the day. But like, and then, you know, has he been playing him enough? You know, do I feel confident? It was a bad draw, but I think I could have gotten worse draws. Simply because the matchup for me was not that bad. Because he told me that he thinks Vanguard Crusader is really bad. Yeah. I don't really think that. But it might be because I have so much matchup experience, right? Like Crusader is my most played against character due to Mr. E. Which like, so like, you know, praise Mr. E because he really helped me out for that matchup. But yeah, so Goichi was first round. I'll stop waffling. Goichi was first round. 3-2 to Goichi, right? So really close. So I played Vanguard, he played Crusader. 3-2. I win the first game by like a hair. Yeah. He wins the next two games. I win the game 4 to bring it to 2-2. Yeah. And I'll be honest, game 5 it was a wipe. He definitely got the better hand of me in game 5. You know, I've looked back at the set so many times at this point. I realized there were a lot of things I could have done better. One of the things I will say is that, talking about one of Vanguard's new like sort of like skill sets, it's his B-head move, which has 3 hits of armor, and I think it's really good against Crusader. So there's like a certain sort of interaction in that matchup that me and Mr. E we always talk about, because it always comes down to this sort of interaction, right? So Crusader has a parry that he can cancel from his light attacks. So if I do B-head in neutral, Crusader doesn't have any like multi-hits, and then it absorbs 3 hits, right? So I can basically absorb anything that he wants to do in neutral, but he can cancel it into his parry and beat my B-head, like attack, my strike. So the interaction is, when I absorb an attack, I gain white health, right? Like, you know, white health I can like cancel. So if I cancel my B-head before it strikes him and he parries, I get a free punish. Yeah. So he's parrying air. I can punish that. Yeah. But it's hard because it's really hard to react to like the B-head and like the parry. And me and Mr. E, we grinded interaction so much, but I think it almost was bad for me that we grinded so much, because I was really ready for Goichi to like parry everything. And because Mr. E does, right? Mr. E's so used to the matchup. There were definitely times where I thought Goichi would parry me.
Just didn't do it.
So I preemptively cancelled my B-head,
Yeah.
But he didn't do it. And I distinctly remember a time where he did his light attack into like a special.
Yeah.
And so he wouldn't have been able to parry. But I thought he was going to parry, so I CV'd.
Yeah.
And I didn't get punished. So, you know, I sort of got in my own head a little bit, thinking like, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna be ready? Is he not gonna be ready? And then in the last game, that really bit me on the ass because that's when he started parrying everything. So I didn't CV because I was like, hey, he's not going to parry this time. He parried every single time, and it really bit me in the ass. But like that's on him. Like he adapted really well to it. So like he knew about the interactions, really good. But like so yeah, Goichi beat me 3-2, and then in loser's side, I had to play against Kikyo-chan, who I played at CEO Taku. So he's a Japanese ranger player. I played on CEO Taku and I beat him.
Yeah.
But didn't go so well this time. So one thing I will say is that on for the finals, they made us do like these interviews, right? Like these player interviews over text on email, and they published them on Twitter. I distinctly remember mine because I literally said on the email, one of the questions was, what character are you looking out for the most, and what player are you looking out for the most? And I said the character Ranger, the player Kikyo-chan, because he plays Ranger, and you know it's Kikyo-chan, and I do not want to play against Ranger. Yeah. Because I think my character's into Ranger is just it's terrible.
Not very
like,
good.
Hitman maybe not as bad. But, like I don't play Hitman anymore. Like, I don't really want to bust out Hitman. I play Vanguard.
Yeah.
But Vanguard into Ranger is genuinely so bad that I don't know how you can win it. So when I knew that he was going to be my losers match, I felt pretty deflated. Yeah. But I was like, let's just give it a try. But like it didn't work out for me. Like he 3-0'd me, which is fair enough. He played it really, really good. Like I played pretty shit, but like he played it like even better than like I had seen him play the matchup ever. So good on him. So that was me out. But like one thing I will say is that, you know, talking about results, Goichi, he won the whole tournament through winner's side. After me, he played against Lost Soul, beat Lost Soul 3-0. Yeah. After Lost Soul, he played against Nanpon Striker, and best striker in the world, beat him 3-0. Played against Nanpon Striker again in Grand Finals, beat him 3-0. So the entire time, the entire tournament, the only person to ever take games off him was me. So
you made him bleed.
I was literally going to say
I made him bleed.
That match between Goichi and Mystic, he was the only person who made Goichi look human, and even back when the game was fresh at versus fighting as well. Because that back then, like Goichi swept that entire tournament, and like
it did, yeah.
Compared to that grand final, the world finals set, he smoked Mystic as well. But Mystic at the world finals, I think for the first time in DNF history, made Goichi look like a regular human being.
Bro, it was just insane. Like he really figured out the game. Like playing Crusader, like Crusader is like just immensely the best. Like he was
incredibly strong.
Like, you know, I felt really prepared for the matchup, and like I think I showed that. You know, 3-2 is like really pretty good. But like even then, like he was doing things I've never seen on Crusader. Like these like really elaborate like guard break setups, and I was like, wow, this is like insane. Like he's just always on another level, and it's like his ability to adapt and everything. It's like I'm playing against a robot. Like it genuinely feels that way. So yeah, but you know, I did what I could do. At the end of the day, you know, it was randomly generated. You know, I had no choice. I was playing against Goichi no matter what.
Yeah.
So
it was randomly generated, and you got like the strongest player into your worst matchup. You know what I mean?
Like your enemies
it was such a draw. Putting on your downfall that day. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I felt pretty sad, because I know a lot of people. You know, a lot of people said, you know, you can win this. I was like, yeah, I can win this. Like, honestly, I thought I was like a favorite to win over Goichi or. I think that there was a Ghostblade player, Korean Ghostblade player called Yusong Cha. Yeah. I think he's like one of the best. I think he's like top 3 in the world at least. So I think he could have won. Everyone could have won. It's besides the point, right? But I felt confident going in that I could definitely do it. And I think honestly, if I managed to like switch that game 5 with Goichi, and I set him to losers instead, and I played against Lost Soul. Because Lost Soul, I played against him in casuals. He did not know the Vanguard matchup. Like, just, like love him. He didn't know he didn't know the matchup, right? I was beating him like quite a lot. If I beat Lost Soul, that's guaranteed at least 3rd. Me and Nanpon in casuals, it was really even. That could have went either way, but I was guaranteed at least 3rd if I beat Goichi and then had a chance against Lost Soul. So you know, sometimes that was like sort of my mindset. Like, damn, you went 0-2. But you're so close to doing more. Like, it's really sad, but like events can't change it.
I mean,
You still get money. Still get money for like going 0-2, so it's like whatever.
I mean, it goes to show, right? At these events at the World Finals, even if you go 0-2, it's like people see that and go, "Oh, you did pretty bad." But the way things can change with a single round result and the matchups that you got put into, I don't know. I don't feel like going 0-2 at these events really matters because at the end of the day,
No, I mean it's a world tour of like finals, and and then it's like with it has to go 0-2. You know,
So
what I
everyone
mean?
has to go 0-2.
This is literally what I was thinking, right? So after DNF was done, obviously Guilty Gear Strive came up next.
Yeah.
And you might know Umisho, she won Evo for Guilty Gear Strive. She qualified through Evo, and she went 0-2. Like someone has to go 0-2 at like these world finals. You know, it's insane. Like think about Capcom Cup. People didn't qualify for Capcom Cup. It's insane, right?
The hardest thing as well is like it's probably easier for some, but like it affects most people. I think is like because you go 0-2, right, and you beat yourself up, or you play shit, whatever. You beat yourself up, but then you start going like, everyone says I've done bad, bro. And like the ability to just disregard and be like, I don't care what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely couldn't care less at all.
Yeah, I get you.
Because the thing is like the individual quality of again your result against Koichi as an example is a quality result. If you told me that happened in grand finals, we'd be like, damn, that was a sick grand finals, right? So it's the individual quality of the set, and to be honest, I think you got a bit of raw deal there because it's the very, very, very first game. Like as you're saying, you need to get those nerves out of the way by playing a game first.
Yeah.
Like
That's what I was thinking.
So it's the very first game. It's probably the favorite betting wise to win it.
Yeah.
No, he was
definitely fair.
Yeah.
Like he showed it. He showed it. So
yeah, and it's like then you've got to deal with I went to losers right away, and you've got all that to deal with, and it's like that's just the raw deal. It's a raw deal, isn't it? One
thing I will say is that thankfully, I think people like I didn't really see anybody saying that I did badly. So I think that was a good thing because like I don't feel like I did badly.
You didn't do badly.
Like it was a tough draw, but also like I don't think the focus was Mystic went 0-2. The focus was Mystic went Game 5 with Goichi, because everyone was saying like I think Damascus made a tweet right, and it sort of like cheered me up. He said something like, "So you tell me that Goichi literally steamrolled everybody 3-0 in top 8 except for Mystic." I was like, yeah. No, that was me. Made him go on to Game 5. The only person to take games off him. It was really cool. But like, and I saw people saying like, yeah, but like they gave us grand finals at round 1. Like, I'll never forgive them.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people actually did say, yeah, you and Goichi's gonna be grand finals. Like, we got drawn into each other. So, random seeding happens. So
it happens. So just conscious on time, guys. The show has wrapped around about at the 45-minute mark. I just wanted to mention if you guys are feeling okay for a wee break, and we can move on to the next topic.
Yeah, sure. Right, fellas, we're gonna take a short 3 to 5 minute break, and then we'll be right back. So don't go anywhere. Or grab a drink if you're a little bit thirsty. We'll be back soon. Toodles.
Hopefully it's worked out for you.
Hey, it worked out. There we go. I sorted it.
Let's go.
What's good, everyone? We're back. So after that short break, we wanted to touch on the last thing regarding like the ArcRevo World Finals was I wanted to touch on DNF support, because DNF support has been a little bit shaky. It's been a point of contention because Nexon have been, I would say they've been a little bit hands off, and we weren't even sure it was going to get support, after release, because it wasn't getting much in terms of the patch cycles. So we heard at the ArcRevo World Finals that it's going to be getting DLC all the way into 2024, and I wanted to get your opinion on how you think that's going to compete with things like Street Fighter 6, because at the moment I don't particularly think DNF has the staying power, and they don't have the community outreach to compete with the bigger titles that come out in 2023.
Yeah. So it's a tough one. So yes, obviously at the finals there were a lot of like Nexon representatives there, so I had like a time to like talk to them, even play with some of them, right? So really cool guys. It was amazing to see like they showed up to be with the finalists and whatnot, and like obviously they have a really big passion for the game. They were saying we plan on like having like a lot of long-term support, and at the finals the announcements they sort of showed that, right? So they finally gave us gameplay of this new character that we've heard so much about called Spectre, who's like a really hyped up character. I wonder why. Yeah, she's really hyped up. But they said that they gave us a roadmap, right? So yeah, you're referring to the roadmap, and they said that Spectre, who's the first DLC character the game's going to be having, is essentially coming out in summer of 2023, and the game launched in summer of 2022. So that's 1 year with no
One whole
DLC
year.
characters. Which is, nowadays
Really odd.
it's a bit tough nowadays.
It's a bit rough.
I think I remember
Yeah.
Strive. I think Gold Lewis was the first DLC character, and it came out like a month after.
It was in like 2 months of the game
So-
releasing. Gold Lewis came.
Yeah,
out.
it was
very quick.
either July or August that Gold Lewis came out, right? So it was like, wow.
That's weird. Because it's like now you like after that announcement, we have to go back to the reality. That's like, oh, this is going to be the same game for the next year. It's kind of like similar to like what Tekken did, because it's like
Yeah.
obviously like they announced Tekken 8, like, oh, look, Heat System is Tekken 8, baby, new
Yeah.
announcer, and now it's just like, yeah, but we're getting another year of Tekken 7 after this, and it's like, oh, we're stuck with
And I
this.
think that's like a lot of the power of Street Fighter 6 right now. It's like it's coming out, like it's happening very soon. Whereas
Yeah.
I think what DNF needed was here and now. And I think that's what people were
Definitely
expecting because like what Boggins said, DNF sort of support. It's like it'll go a long time with like nothing, and then out of nowhere, it's boom, this time, this that, this that, this that.
Yeah.
Like it all like a very like all at once. But like this sort of announcement, like I think we were all expecting more.
Yeah.
Because like they always just come, drop something, and like leave for months, come back, drop one thing,
When
and
As well, the mystery, do you know what the silhouettes they do for roadmaps?
the
Yeah,
silhouettes,
I hate those.
I fucking
I hate
despise
those
them.
as well.
I want to know
Why
who's
don't
in
you
it.
just announce a roadmap and just have all this shit ready. It doesn't even need to be full-fledged trailers. Just have a cinematic with all the stuff in it, like basic stuff, and then
Yeah.
the big one for like Spectre. And just so I know what's coming, and
Yeah.
then prepare trailers in advance, and I'll be like, oh
Let me-
man,
let me
this
know what I'm
year's gonna
paying
be
for.
sick.
To be
Yeah, I
fair, they probably saw like Capcom's like roadmap attempt back in like early Street Fighter days, and like, yeah, we're not promising these people shit, man. Like, they see how much shit they have to change. Like, we're just gonna keep it non-committal.
Well, the thing is, I swear there was one season where Street Fighter 5, like we knew what characters were coming out, right? Because they did like a trailer for them,
Yeah.
It
right?
was the season I started playing because it was the season.
Season
they
3?
announced.
Yeah,
Season 3.
Season
Yeah,
two.
yeah, they did like they Cody, Falk, I think Blanca was in there,
Blanca, Sakura, I think.
and
Yeah,
Sagat.
Sagat and G.
Yeah. So we knew them all, and like that was like that was hype.
It was sick.
Like,
yeah.
like
Yeah,
who's,
it was
who's G?
like
Like,
a
who's this guy?
It was a
Like,
60 FPS cinematic of like
really
all
cool.
the little shit they were doing, and then it was just like the Blanca trailer or the Sakura trailer, and then they just did a couple of months in between of
Yeah.
trailers, and that was sick.
And it
That
was
was the
amazing.
best content
It was
rollout
honestly
for the game's
amazing.
lifetime,
So, like, I completely agree. I don't like silhouettes. I like knowing what's coming out and when. You know, like if you're gonna put a roadmap on of like, yeah, this character's coming out now, it's coming out then. You know, like tell us who it is at least. Like I think that
Yeah.
will spark more interest than like guessing. Like, I know, like to me, I don't think silhouettes work. Like I don't think people like get hyped for silhouettes. Like we want to know what we're paying for. Like what Buggins
Yeah,
said.
no.
That's how I feel.
It's
Like, because I think they did that with like season 1 Street Fighter 5, where everyone's a silhouette, and so like they did have a wee bit of suspense. But like, what happens is that everyone gets a bit too excited about like, oh, who it could be, and then it's just not. So, so you don't want to set yourself up with that. Just like be open with it, saying we're planning this character.
I think it can work for like stuff like Street Fighter, but like DNF, like I think you need just to put the facts out.
yeah, you need
I
that
don't think
black punch
DNF's
power.
it's not in a situation where they can be like, oh yeah, we're gonna get you guys all suspenseful. Like, bro, we just need to know. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we've had enough suspense, bro. We just tell us what's gonna happen. But, like, so yeah, like Buggins said, from summer 2023 to I assume it's gonna be like early 2024.
Yeah.
When like the sort of last DLC will come out. And you know, like what Buggins said, is it gonna compete with Street Fighter 6?
Gotta
No, I don't
compete.
think anything's gonna compete with Street Fighter 6. I don't think
Yeah.
any game will. So
Next
no,
one has
it's
been
especially off DNF. So.
next one has been very, very weird because DNF was announced, and then for a whole year straight, it was essentially radio silence. And then out of nowhere, on a random YouTube channel, they started posting character trailers that weren't really advertised, and the DLC looks to be going in a similar manner. And because of that, I feel like the people who played DNF are very committed, but the player
Yeah, they
numbers are fairly lowish for a game that's this new. And for a game to be treated the way it is at events as well, because I remember when Mystic was traveling and competing, especially for things like Evo, it was like a side event, and I was like, I swear this game's 2 months old. Like, why is the event so small scale compared to everything else?
Evo's a bit different. Evo's
Evo is a bit different, I'll admit.
Because Evo, like the games there are like they're like determined like months before.
Yeah, they get
months
announced
and
way
months.
before.
I don't think DNF was even out. So
That one does
I
make
get
sense.
Evo, like for example, like versus fighting.
Versus fighting. Yeah.
I don't know.
No, because
it's
Versus
weird
fighting was a
'cause,
big
like,
one.
It was big, but like it was Saturday. But I
Yeah.
guess it was too much for a Sunday. like I see what you mean. Like there are definitely certain times where like the game just gets shafted, but like overall, I think honestly offline the game is way better than just online, which is a bit strange.
Yeah.
But, like the offline scene for the game, people do travel out. People like are very committed to it.
Very, very committed.
But like if that will continue, honestly, I don't know. I think if they were able to announce a tour, like from the finals last week, it would have been nice.
It would have been better, yeah.
So there was just a ton of things. I did hear through the grapevine there might be a tour coming up for DNF. Like I don't know. So, but yeah, I mean Street Fighter 6, I think it's gonna be overwhelming for basically any sort of fighting game.
That's basically my worry, that it has to compete with like Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6 and supposedly Mortal Kombat 12 that's coming out this year. Like these are really big hitters. These are the big three that are going to be like here for the next 5 or 6 years. MK12 probably not as much, but.
So that's the issue is when you release like games like even like Granblue and shit.
Yeah, Granblue.
When games have been alive for a while and like people have left because maybe they didn't enjoy the first year or even the second year and they're looking for more stuff, it's great to have these games come in. Trying to release it alongside like Mortal Kombat pools, like the biggest casual audience ever.
Massive,
like,
ginormous.
Right? It's massive. Tekken's got a massive player base now, and Tekken 8 looks sick. It's sick. And then Street Fighter 6 is going to have the competitive scene because everyone wants that million.
Yeah.
Everybody. It's going to pull everybody. And it's like, what then have you got with these other little games, or even games that you're continuing to support, alongside these massive hitters? It's like, I don't know what you can bring to the table.
It's going to be rough.
I mean, dude, sorry, go on. You can say something.
So I literally just said it was going to be rough for DNF for the rest of this year, I think.
I mean, like, dude, I think it's gonna be rough for even Guilty Gear. Like, I know Guilty Gear is like a huge game, it's probably the biggest fighting game right now, but it's like, I feel like Guilty Gear might sort of fizzle out when Street Fighter 6 even comes out. But like, as it were, I think the whole of the FGC will sort of like unite to roll over Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think Guilty Gear Strive, it won't be dead or anything.
It won't be dead.
But like,
I mean, it's
that game's
the
getting
anime fighting game. You know what I mean?
It's the anime game.
It has its specific niche.
But like, even if I can sit and say, Strive might get hit by Street Fighter 6, that means that DNF doesn't get hit quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I mean, and like even another thing coming out, like Granblue Fantasy versus Rising, that's gonna come out at some point. That'll probably rival DNF even more. So like, the game, it's in a tough spot. But like, I enjoy it. I know the really competitive scene enjoys it. Like, there's a really active Discord that, Boggins, I showed you that Discord a while back. I know you don't like it too much, because, by the way, he left. He left. The guy who annoys you, so he's gone. Like, it was, it's a good scene. A lot of people enjoy it. It's got like an active, people like advocate for it quite a lot, so it'll still have that audience, but it's going to struggle.
It should struggle a little bit. And speaking of the tournament scene as well, I wanted to move on to our next topic, which was speaking about the general state of the fighting game scene over the next coming months, because we're going to have the release of Street Fighter 6, and when that hits, we have a wave of events that are going to be mad to watch and mad to compete in, some of which we might actually pull up to as well. Head Stomper is one of them, which comes out very, very hot right after SF6's release. I think it's like a week into its release.
Yeah.
Very, very soon. So it's in Sweden, and we might pull up, and I think this is going to be one of the most interesting events because it's going to be that first competitive dive into Street Fighter 6. So it's going to be a very, very hype event.
Yeah, I personally am very excited for Stomper. I've got all my shit booked for that place. I'm kind of committing. I've got the day off work and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for like two reasons. Obviously, the first reason I'm happy to get back to a proper major. Again, where like it's the new game, everyone's trying to like, everyone's riding hard, and also I'm really kind of looking forward to like playing with the Scandinavian FGC.
Yeah,
they've been historically very strong throughout the lifetime of Street Fighter 5, so I think they'll be good people to play with. Head Stomper as a major, will be my first time going up there, and I've always heard good things. I've not heard anything bad from how those majors were ran in the previous years, and like obviously a little bit free popcorn, free ice cream, free coffee, free tea. Free
ice cream. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that'll save me $1 or $2 once I get over there. Yeah. So I'm looking forward. I just love offline majors. Just even that graphic you put on there on like the overlay, like that just got me feeling some type of way, man. I'm just like, bro, I miss this shit so much.
Dude, like an audience, like people popping up for you. It's mad, right? It's such a good feeling. But
100%.
Yeah, Head Stomper's coming up, and also one thing is, I think it's 2 weeks after Head Stomper is CEO in America. and I'm planning on going to that. So that's going to be a really big one as well. So Head Stomper and CEO both in June, both like pretty
Massive
fresh off of the release date.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. Obviously,
CEO replaces Final Round now as like the first. You know what I
The big
mean?
thing?
Like,
Yeah, I suppose.
yeah.
It does.
It's just because of the timing. But one thing I will say is that I don't know if you guys want to chime in on this. One thing I am worried about
Yeah.
regarding Head Stomper, my guess, you know, it's pretty close to the release date of the game.
Yep.
You know, some people have been playing the game for quite a while. So,
yeah.
you know, some people have been playing the game for quite a while, and there might be some players who haven't you know, tapped into that sort of hidden tech. And I'm wondering how it's going to, like, sort of play into the first major of the game. Don't know if you guys want to comment on that.
In case
never
you
knew that.
lost on some of our viewers, he's talking about the beta crack that people are definitely not playing.
I never knew that. I never knew that.
All I'm gonna say is the only players that are gonna beat you by using the crack are Kimberly players. Nobody else is gonna. Because
Hey, tell him.
At the end of the day, yeah, I went from beta 1 to beta 2 and fought all these people that played the crack. Kimberly players especially, they ran setups on me day 1, and then I smoked them day 2. Okay, and everyone still lost to me in Street Fighter 6 beta. Okay,
Including me. We played in grand
Listen,
finals of Salt Mine.
if I go fucking, I actually forgot about it. if I go, I mean, I'm trying to get things booked. We're moving house and stuff, so it's a pretty busy time for me. But
Yeah.
if I do manage to go to Head Stomper or CEO, all I'm gonna say is everyone's gonna underestimate Luke again and call him bottom 1. People are gonna lose footsies, and you're gonna rely on the, oh man, look at this optimal drive rush combo I love, it puts me in burnout, and they have no consideration for anything else, and it's like, alright, cool, you're gonna get smoked. So for me, if you haven't touched any sort of crack, you know, the crack beta, you haven't touched anything, the only thing that's really gonna affect you is like people doing mad setups with characters like
Yeah,
Kimberly.
like set play heavy. Yeah.
It's not good. I don't think it's going to make much of a big
I don't think,
difference.
like, after a week, I really don't think the crack's going to matter. We mentioned this last time. I really don't think the crack's going to carry over that hard at release because things are going to change. It's not going to carry that hard.
Even in the second beta when people were already playing like the first crack, really all like the main advantage it gave is that folk just felt a bit more. The muscle memory was already there. Do you know what I mean? We like people who didn't play the crack, they had to like regain it. But you can't like grind the crack for, let's say, neutral. Do you know what I mean? Unless you got like a bunch of crack friends as well that could also
Yeah, if you got the people to start playing with.
I think the one thing to really consider about the crack, right? I think Sambo is right. I think a lot of people just don't have neutral, and I don't think that playing the crack's going to make you get neutral, right? Because if you're just playing training mode or whatever, it's going to give you like a really sort of like a bad vision of the game. But one thing that I will say, because like sort of like similar to Sully, like people did play the crack in between the betas, right?
Yeah.
And I definitely played those people. I fucking know I did. I think the main thing is how handy they are with the mechanics of the game. So I think SF6 has some really deep mechanics to it, and I think the sooner you pick those up and the sooner you've been labbing them, it's gonna really pay off in tournament.
Yeah.
And there were some guys I was playing against. I'm like, bro, you really perfect parried every single time. It's like this consistently. I'm like, okay, you know, I think having that sort of depth, you know, sort of like in the crack that you can learn, unless like what Bonnie says, it does change heavily. I think that is something to consider. I think that will be strong at the very least.
Yeah.
Like I do think after like 2 weeks ish, when everyone sort of like just like really grinds it out, it will be like everyone's gonna be even. But I think Head Stomper, for me, it's maybe a bit too early. Like, you know, I don't know.
For me, I think it's gonna be like just get out of the way. Like I feel like I'm just gonna I'm gonna go head stomp if there's crack enjoyers over there. Like, do you know what I mean? Let's just run it and then just show me the stuff you learned, and then
at the end of the day,
I can come back at head stomper. Let's say I do well or do bad. You know, that's it. That's the I got to enjoy the first major.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, you shouldn't let like impede on your experience. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not like these people are, like unbeatable, by the way. Do you know what I mean? Like you can obviously beat someone who's played for crack, but you know, so obviously, hopefully, people who have played it like know how to use it to their advantage or whatever. Because you know.
Yeah,
do your thing, innit?
Every crack setup you want, that drive impact will hit the same, you know what I'm saying?
Do you know what I mean?
You know what? Honestly, the select few players that will utilize the crack for that.
Yeah,
do you know
it's
what I mean?
not
Few and far between. And of course, it'll still affect tournament because those guys might be at the top. Do you know what I mean? But The guys that are doing it right now that I've seen that put the fake like waiting for opponents thing.
Yeah, oh, bro, that's
so
my favorite. You know, that's my
stupid,
favorite. I always talk about that.
Beta, bro. But like they literally just do like, look at this Guile boom loop optimal, and I'm like, that's great, but like you can't play the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not even being rude. It's just like, let's just be honest. You've labbed this, yeah, and then you can't do anything else. So I don't care.
It's true,
I don't care.
it's true.
One of the things I wanted to mention as well about the events coming up was Mystic mentioned he's going to travel to CEO. Which one of these events is going to be the first CPT premiere? Because we know premieres are coming back. So if you win that event, you can go straight to Capcom Cup. CEO is probably that likely candidate to be the first premiere for Street Fighter 6's lifespan. I'm thinking it's going to have to be.
I mean, it should be massive. It should be massive. Like, it's going to be the first. First of all, like when I think of like FGC events, I don't know if you guys see it this way, but I think of like a big three. And the big three are like Evo, Combo Breaker, and CEO.
Yeah, I agree.
Like CEO is just massive, right? So for it to be so close to the release date, where everyone's hungry to play the game, like I think it's like 3 weeks or so after the release date, and everyone's just mad hungry to play. It's gonna be massive.
I think
it's gonna be massive. It's a big candidate to actually be like a part of the CPT.
Yeah.
But if not, I assume like Evo will be. Like it should be CEO.
Versus fighting will be huge as well.
Versus fighting will probably be a premiere for us. That's going to be huge.
I don't think you guys realize, because like I was looking back at like old Street Fighter 5 majors, so like the first year that game came out. So I think the first UK or EU one was Hype Spot up in Glasgow, up in home territory, right? Now that was a ranking event, but it had 256 entrants just for a ranking, because
that's maximum, right?
They capped it out.
Yeah, 256.
But they would have got more, which was insane to me.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like versus fighting, like we're gonna get some. And that versus fighting is pretty much gonna be a premiere. Like that's
guaranteed to be a premiere.
That's gonna be a bloodbath.
It's gonna be sweaty in and out of the game, bro.
Yeah.
I swear.
Well, there was a year for versus fighting where I think it might have been 2018 or 2017 where it capped like 600 people at the event, or 700, and Street Fighter 6 is going to be bigger than that. So that venue will probably not be able to hold the amount of people that want to go.
That's actually kind of what I'm thinking, because it's the same venue, right? And like think about where Street Fighter was last time.
Yeah,
they're gonna have to move Street Fighter 6 to the bottom where Tekken is.
Yeah, they'd have to move everything.
That's the biggest place, right? So,
There'll be so many more rooms for Street Fighter 5. Street Fighter 6, it'll be insane.
Yeah, they'll open it up a bit more, but like, I still can't even imagine how big it's gonna be. Because I think how big I think it will be even bigger, right? So, you know, everyone from the UK is gonna head down. Everyone from Europe's gonna head down.
Everyone's gonna
be
be
international. So I know, for example, a lot like Punk, for example, he always says he loves versus fighting. So I hope that he just gets some international stuff to be really cool.
Each time I've went, I've enjoyed it. It's one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah,
but,
it's the vibes, man. It's like it's in the UK, bro. I think the UK is the best scene, bro.
You know what I've just thought as well, bro. Me and Sameboy have never fucking met in person other than one time at VSF so far. We haven't seen each other, bro.
Wait, that's crazy.
Our interaction is one of the funniest
It's
interactions
so
I've ever had with somebody. Like, it was basically you were, I mean, I don't know if you want to tell, but like basically you were fucking it was like I think I was knocked out in the tournament at this point, and you were running casuals at this stage.
I think you're playing with Booney. I think it might have been Booney.
It was, and keep in mind, at this time, my scenes, I'd only been in the scene like a year.
Yeah.
And I'd been primarily travelling between Aberdeen, Glasgow, and Newcastle. So within the Newcastle scene, Booney, who's like the Ryu player, who's really sick, he's like a good mate, and like I'd speak to him like quite often. So like I know Booney really well, and at that point we were running a Ryu Cody matchup like constantly.
Yeah.
So he knew it so well, and every little thing at that time that nobody knew, he knew, because I was telling him everything. Like, you need to reversal this, you need to fucking jab this, and he was like, oh, brilliant. So because of that, you played casuals, and you were playing Cody at the time.
Yeah, I was playing Cody.
And I remember watching him, and he was doing really, really well because he was applying everything that I told him. And I remember walking over, and I said something like, "Oh, he's really good at this matchup, like, because we play it all the time." And you were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, cool." And you guys like continued to play. And I don't remember how this happened, but like you like spun round. At
I turned back around,
and you were like, "Are you Soundboy?" And I was like.
I was like an adoring fan, bro. I was like the adoring fan.
Yeah, and then you were like, you know, and then I was like, yeah, and you were like, oh, bro, and you like stood up to like shake my hand. I was like, fucking hell. Like, oh yeah, and I was like, this is what it feels like to be an e-celebrity, you know? But I shook your hand then.
That's
I was
amazing.
like, yeah, sick. And then ever since then we hit it off. Like,
Oh shit, man. Yeah.
I got it
remember.
right. That's what
Nice.
happened. I
It's
got-
not the
can't
male
believe that's the only
office
time you
origin
guys-
story. Do you know what I'm saying?
I still
Great
remember Cal's
mighty
face though, because Cal,
champion.
his eyes were like he was taken aback, bro. He was like, huh? Like what?
I literally
That's so
like
funny.
carry your weapons, shine your boots,
Shine your
Like,
boots?
literally.
That was so funny. Oh my gosh. I mean, I've only met you guys once as well. I think. Like,
Yeah, you've
oh,
only met me
I
once
think
so far.
I met you.
Actually, I've met Sweet twice technically. Right?
I've only met
Twice,
Mr.
that's
don't think-
because it was the NFC tournament, wasn't it? But I don't think.
Yeah.
I think that was more of us like, kind of crossing paths, but we didn't.
I watched you win at the very least. I watched you pop off, so I remember that.
We met at NFC because I
We did as well.
I had lost the previous one to Booney, and I like went through this period of just playing absolute shit. And this
Yeah.
was like my return to be like, right, I need to win something because I'd lost like every event since then. And I was like, I'm getting my ass kicked. And I think you beat me in the very first game, and I was fucking
Yeah.
good. And I was like, I'm dropping out of this shit. But I ended up staying in.
And you
and
won,
I
right?
won-
I think.
I won the event. Which
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
nice. It was good in the end. But I remember that there's actually a video, and I was gonna link it, but I was like, I better not just link this out of the blue because it's gonna be fucking weird. There's a video that you know Hado Shrooms, the Zangief player.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
took one of them rapid fucking videos that like
I've seen
like
it.
30
I've
seconds.
seen it.
And the very first like 5 seconds is
It's
me and you.
me and you,
just
isn't
go,
it?
we just go through these range of emotions and then disappear. And I was like, I'll link you that.
It's funny.
So,
'cause
yeah.
I think that was the one that happened in February. Because I think I went for Grand Blue. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna enter Street Fighter 5 as well. Why not? And like, I
Yeah.
remember you were like, we played on the stream setup, I think, and you was like talking to everyone at the same time. I was like, hold on, ooh, I'm a bit nervous here. Let me play some Dowsin. And then I think you locked in Cody, and then I think you lost on the Cody, and then you switched to Alex.
Oh, smoked.
But I was like, this is like, I was like, damn, that was pretty good.
I got smoked.
then-
like
Dude, I'll never forget that. I lost to Hado Shrooms that tournament though, so it is what it is. I lost to Geef as Dowsim guys.
I think the first time I met Soundboy in person was WSO in London. I'm pretty sure.
I don't think I've ever been to WSO.
Have you not? Am I just making shit up? I'm trying
Are you thinking me?
No,
Are you thinking about me, perhaps?
no. That was like pandemic, but I thought it was like
What one are you thinking of?
it was like, this is pre-pandemic. Like pandemic was when I met you, but I swear like am I just making this up? It was like headcanon.
You got
how am I
headcanon,
finding
bro.
you in London?
Yes.
I'm not finding you in
Bro.
London and not up north. Like,
I've
or did I
been
just have-
asked to go, but I've never been to a WSO. I think the only London event I went to was a Reflect. You know,
Reflect.
I remember Reflect.
Well,
Reflect
I
was sick.
Bro, I
yeah,
did I first meet you. That's crazy. That's what.
I think I genuinely first met you at a local.
Local. That's crazy.
Oh
That's not
no!
local.
Do you know what? No, I'm
No.
talking shit. And I remember when I met you, and it was the very first versus fight I think I went to, and because I met Not at a previous. This is like backstory. Yeah, I'm rambling,
Yeah.
right? I met Not like a few years before that because I just randomly turned up to this like Street Fighter 4 event that was in Edinburgh because I was like
Yeah.
dicking about at the time, and me and my brother went, and Not beat the absolute shit out of me in casuals like 10-0, and then we became friends at that point. And then I basically turned up to Versus Fight, and again, not been in the scene for years. Ran into him again, and then I met you and Darkmoon all at the same time.
Oh,
And then again, I didn't see you for like another year, and then I ended up turning up to all these locals, and then I met you again. I was like, oh, here we go.
That makes more sense. That makes more sense.
That's what happened, for sure.
That makes more sense. I was like, I changed it. Like now that you mention it, I'm trying to think who did I meet in London? Like,
Some
one was just
mysterious
some random
stranger
guy,
who
you
like,
know, coming to locals up then.
Just do a blog, and you're like, oh, Soundboy, and the guy's like, yeah.
yeah, definitely me, bro. Yeah.
It's not me. Like,
To steer us back on topic, final debate
Sorry,
topic for the night, which we wanted to talk about, which was bada bing, balance patches. So I wanted to have a little discussion
Balance
between us all
patches.
about balance patches, and particularly moving into Street Fighter 6, how you guys would want the balance of that game to be treated, and what you think is kind of like the perfect amount of balance, because we've seen with Street Fighter 5, and I think DNF is a really good example, where we've seen maybe too little intervention from developers can make games feel a little bit stale and a little bit annoying to compete in when changes aren't implemented in a fast and efficient manner for problem characters. So I'm talking, vanilla Hitman in DNF, who was managed, destroy a whole season. Rashid, Karen, Cammy for the lifespan of Street Fighter 5. and the pace at which these balance patches came out was, in some situations, very slow, and you were kind of praying and hoping that something would come out in between that to address it just a little bit. Like, what are you guys thinking in terms of this?
So what I'll say is, like, I feel like we're operating on a spectrum here. Like, we're obviously, like, in terms of games that don't get updated much. At the top end, I'd say Marvel 3 doesn't get touched for ages, and on the opposite end, I'd say Mortal Kombat X.
Mortal Kombat, yeah, it's always Mortal Kombat.
For the guys who played Mortal Kombat X, there was like a new patch every week.
2 weeks, bro.
And,
it was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. It killed the game for so many people because no one, like, you would flip and go to sleep one day and you got 10 new matchups to learn. It was a fucking nightmare. But me personally, I feel like I like the patches only being per season. I do agree when it says it gets a bit stale and whatnot. What I will say is that I do think, like, the amount that, if we're saying Rashid was consistently strong throughout Street Fighter V's lifetime, but in terms of Karen and Cammy being the problem characters, I think it was just more them being consistent, because season one, the problem characters were Chun, Ryu, Nakali. Season 2, the problem characters were Ibuki, Balrog, who else? Urian, Abigail, Akuma. Yeah, and like there's so many. Season 3, Season 4, I'll give you that. That was the Cammy Rashid. That was
the beginning.
Season 4 we had like Seth, and then after that we had like Luke. I wouldn't say those characters not being touched upon would have made the game a bit more fresh.
Yeah,
I do feel like it did get boring. I will admit, but I don't know. I like one big balance patch a year, but if unless there's something like broken, like game breaking, I wouldn't expect any. I wouldn't like a balance patch in between.
I may have worded it a bit poorly because, you know, Rashid in that, sure, we can forget about that. Maybe they weren't strong throughout. But also in terms of if you're playing a weak character and you want that character to be stronger, if you're waiting an entire year for a patch and they don't get what they need to receive in order to be good. Alex is a great example, because me and Carl wanted to play Alex for a fairly long time and he was pretty weak through most of the balance patches. You're waiting for a very long time to get some viability. So when you split it from that kind of narrative as well.
The way I feel, which is, it's kind of a weird one, but like, I really like seasonal patches. Like, I do like the idea that seasons mean something, that you could have like ranked resets or whatever as well with seasonal changes, depending on how long a season is defined, right? So if a season was 6 months, I would want a big patch every 6 months. But say it's a year, you've got a year-long season, which makes more sense to me. If you're going to do yearly patches, they need to be big bastard patches. Yeah. They don't need to be completely random, like League of Legends nerfs and buffs just for the hell of it, right? But like introducing like a new mechanic or completely overhauling a character like they did with Alex. Like I understand that you probably want to reserve like a game-changing almost patch. The thing I don't like with how that's operated is you see it with like Street Fighter. There is nothing for the rest of the year outside of, oh, here's a new character, and you just have to deal with it, whatever state they're in. Yeah, I would prefer it that especially if you release a new character, but especially there's been problems with the games that we play, like especially like Street Fighter, where things are like unanimously agreed is like, this is shit.
This is awful.
And they don't get changed at all. And I don't mean an entire character's kit. It can be like an individual move, or like a situation that should work that just doesn't. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even bugs, anything like that. Things that just like when we had the Blanca
time freeze
infinite thing, and then they fixed that as soon as they could. I don't get why that even for things that are less game breaking, that when you know that they're there, why can't you jump on that and be like, listen, here's a small patch, we're just patching it out. They always get saved for the fucking yearly patch, and you're like, well, why do I have to wait for a year for these like little things to get changed? Can't you just change the little things now?
Yeah.
I don't
know. That I would prefer. Big patches, fine, but yeah.
Sort of like add on to that, like sort of stuff that's like game breaking or like too meta defiant to where it just makes, you know, like competitive, like not a fun sort of like time. You know, you guys know I play Guilty Gear Strive all the time. Like, I love that game. There's a character in that game you might know called Happy Chaos. And when that character came out, God, I've never seen anything like it in my life. Like it makes like Luke, Seth, everything was supposed to look like baby, because like he was actually the most broken thing I've ever seen in my life. And like he he screamed that he needed to be hotfixed, but like nothing happened. Like again, like these developers, that they will just stick like this schedule, like, oh yeah, we're patching the game every 6 months no matter what. Like we're never like deviating even when the game needs a hotfix. It's like there are some things that just can't be allowed to like let rock, and I think that's sort of like shaped our mindset into thinking that these games need more patches like so frequently. It's like similar to what Cal said. I'm sort of fine with a game getting patched every 6 months, as long as the really, really broken things get addressed, like when they need to be.
Yeah.
Like, I think Habit Chaos was something that needed to be addressed, but it never did, and it made the gameplay of the games like really stale. Like it was impossible to play against. But like, you know, like say if a season's every like 4 months or 6 months, I think those are like good times to like patch a game. So like I think 6 months actually pretty good. Like 2 patches a year, like 2 really big patches, I think it's pretty good. So like, it gives you enough time to learn a lot of new things and like really get a really solid grasp of how the game should be and more. Like I think you can sort of figure out the game and have like at least a good couple months after like just playing the game that you figured out, you know?
But that's the thing as well, if you're doing, just to add to that as well, like 6 monthly patches, I mean, the idea of like the big patches are there where you proper overhaul like, you know, certain characters, or you add new mechanics or whatever the hell you want to do with the game, right? That's fine, but yeah, like the issues always come, and it's always like historically it's new characters, they release them and then they go, right, have fun for the year, and they just disappear, and you're like, listen, this character's come out and it's a mess. Either they're absolute ass and they don't work, right, or they're fucking ridiculous and they just do everything too well, and they're like, we'll patch it 6 months time. When
I don't get it. Like just Capcom devs just looking at like season 2 power, just like hitting everyone for like that. I'm like, I'm just like, cool.
Not just like turn around.
probably need to do something about that, lads. But no, I agree. I like the idea of like 2 patches per year. The one that comes halfway through the year, that's the let's fix the things that aren't working as intended. And then the one at the end of the year is like, okay, let's overhaul this meta, put it on its head, let's inject some new life into this game.
Just to make things fresh, you know?
Me and Mystic play League, unfortunately, and League gets patches once every 2 weeks, but the way that they do their patches is they do a massive one at the start of every year. For fighting games, I really wish that we got them in 3-month cycles. That's my wish, but that one at the end of the year, that one that comes in the January, is very, very large, and those ones that come every 3 months are only touching up the worst of the worst. If you are like 1% player base, you are awful, you've never even reached the top 8, let's give them a little bit of love. Maybe we can inject them into the meta. Do you know what I mean? Just little pop-ups throughout the year.
3 months is like, I would say is quite a lot, but as long as you're just touching like. But then again, like, is 3 months enough time to determine like what characters are just like actually just bad, or if they just didn't get enough love?
If a developer can't get like enough data over 3 months for like, you know, you look at characters who get like a really awful player rate and a really awful win percent, or if you're in Masters, you know, Street Fighter 6, we look at all the Master players and we look at who's playing which characters. If a character doesn't come up a single time, that must be reason enough to address them just a little bit, to want to make the players play them, because I do think the online leaderboards can be a genuine like data.
Just ask. Like this is the crazy. I've never understood why a community manager, and I'm not calling any names out. It's not in a call, but someone involved with the community, just ask. Just be like, listen, who's ass? Right, and just gather a bunch of names and then go and investigate it, or go and get people to basically good people to be like, listen, you're good at the game. Who sucks? And
you need a committee, because like you need a committee of different players from different regions, because like if we're getting towards like we patch based on everyone's personal tier lists, and every time someone's posted their tier list on like who's bad and who's not, like there's always like at minimum there's always like 5 suspect choices in that tier list. So like me personally, I don't feel like I could trust the player base with that.
But you know,
I mean less of like the wider player base. I mean more like trying to get informed opinions from people that know what they're on about, and then basically going away and going, well, these names have come up multiple times. Some people say they're breaking the meta. Some people are saying they don't work. Let's see what we can do, and like that works for me. If you're going to do a 3 monthly one, as you said, and then at the end of the year they add a new mechanic, like as much as some people hate V-Shift and some people love V-Shift, that's the idea, that at the end of the season and the new season starts to go, listen, here's the new season with the new shit, and you go, wow, okay, great. Because League's got the advantage of being able to like switch the items up, which in a fighting game is quite hard to you know what I mean, to add that much life. But yeah, I think that would work for me, to be honest.
To play devil's advocate as well, when we have a heavy patch kind of meta for a lot of these fighting games, we can have situations where we create our own problems, and I'm just going to bring them up. Falcon Ed came out of fucking nowhere in this final patch to, in my opinion, ruin the fucking game at high level, because they are awful to watch.
You've destroyed high level play.
They were characters who we defined for the majority of the game as quite weak, but all it took was one patch, and all of those accumulating buffs suddenly hit, and it's like, well, this character's top 5 now. It's fucked up.
Not to moan at the rambling, but fuck, do you know what it is though? It's with those characters, Ed especially, Falk less so, but Ed especially, he had stuff already that was kind of good and kind of broken, but it was overshadowed by how weak the rest of his kit was. Yeah. And it's like the mistake they made with like Alex Lariat. You put that Lariat on any other character in the cast, and it's busted. You're like, broken. Holy shit, that's nuts. But with the way his kit works and how weak it was at the time as well, it's like it doesn't matter because the rest of his kit is so bad.
Yeah.
With Ed, like Flicker having like
no hurt box.
0 hurt box, like very little, you know, play around or anything. Add the fact that the rest of his kit at the time's like no VT2 or whatever, you could V-reversal it, you're like, alright, that's fine. He can't convert off it at all into anything other than super, and that's like a big commitment. You're like, right, it's really low reward anyway, it's fine. Then all of a sudden, you add like, can't V-reversal his VT2 anymore, and you're like, alright, well, in an isolated thing, that's fine. That's that, you know, fair enough. Then you wait 6 months or a year, and then they go, now you can EX extension his Knuckle, the Flicker, yeah? And this, in an isolated thing, you're like, oh, that's not so bad. But over years, that all adds up, and all of a sudden, you have this kit of ridiculous fucking shit and synergy that you cannot stop. And they're like, oh, whoops, well, it's the end of the game, sorry. Like, there's nothing else.
Yeah, we're stuck with this now forever.
I think one thing I can say about, you said about 3 month cycles for like these patches.
Yeah.
One thing that sort of like sprung to my mind, I don't know if you guys will agree, but it's like the FGC, it's so rooted in like offline competition.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with like 3 months, I think like how I view it is that I think it's too common, because like a lot of people, they want to travel out for these games, right? They want to take competition seriously. Imagine you have a patch every 3 months, right?
Yeah.
And it's so common. Let's say you have like a patch on June 1st and you have a tournament on June 6th. You know, it's like, so now the game might have, like, your character might have gotten like these sort of nerfs that, you know, weren't there like a week before, and I've got to learn a new character going into your big tournament every so often. Like it's happening way more often now. So I don't know if I made sense with that, but like if you have these like more common patches, it's more time that people need to like sort of invest into learning new things at like a moment's notice. Like
Cavertino. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Go on. No, go on. I
was going to say, so Cavertino brought a good point up in the chat. Says about that time that NRS dropped a patch on like the right before a major, and people found that on the way there. So that's another issue with like common patch days, where you have to like fit it into major times as well.
Yeah,
so
that's
like
the problem.
It makes it so complicated. Like, and if you don't travel that often, unless you're a pro, you're going to be traveling to like maybe 3 or 4 majors. Like, or if you're willing to do it a lot, that potentially means you're doing like every major on a different patch.
That brings up a good point. Yeah, you're kind of right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the seasonal ones.
The 6 month cycle.
Yeah. 6 months is good. I think
6 months of cycle, yeah. 100%.
The happy medium.
So yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, imagine like going to a tournament like, oh yeah, versus fighting. Oh yeah, I'm on patch 1.2 now. Oh yeah, my character have changed quite a lot actually. Yeah, I learned them on the way here. Do you know what I mean? It's like it'd be quite hard to deal with.
I'm just thinking of that NRS one. Like, would the tournament organizers need to be like, listen, we need to delay because we actually have to install the patch on every single setup that we've got because it happened last night.
I feel like if it's, I know, because like I remember one time. So when I went to Spain for Guilty Gear, a patch dropped the day beforehand as well. But they just said we're on the patch beforehand. I wonder if they would just do that for this one. I'm mostly talking about when a patch has already been out for like a week, and then you did your tournament like after a week. So like it's definitely going to be on that patch. But, like it might have shook things up quite a lot, and this happens, more. It happens quite a lot now with the 3 month cycle. So it'd be like a real big hassle, Like like just having to slot in like the events that you feel prepped for because the game hasn't changed beforehand. It'd be pretty hard. That's just like solely from like a competition standpoint though. I think otherwise, like having more frequent changes, it is a good thing. Like I'd say, like 4 to 6 months, I think is actually quite good.
I think 6 months would be the perfect point, where that one that's in between in the middle of the year is more of a 0.5 cleanup. Like, oh, we missed the mark on this one. Let's nerf this, or let's buff this a little bit more. Yeah,
I like it
because there is a phenomenon. Again, I'm going to reference League of Legends here because it gets patched so often. The pro meta is incredibly stale because people don't have time to experiment and. There is potential if we were having a patch every 3 months, let's say, season 1, people go, oh, Ryu's top tier, bro. But, the 3-month cycles are coming in, changing all these characters, people just stick with Ryu because it's like, I can't invest the time to this new character. You know what I mean? Because everything's being
it might change, I get nerfed, it's crazy.
Yeah. But with that, boys, we are coming up to time, so I'm going to call it here for the night. I think it's been a great episode. Final closing thoughts from everyone before I send us off.
Well, I'll start us off. So again, closing points. One thing I will say is like thanks for Mystic for coming through.
Of course.
Always good to have a good guest on, and you obviously were able to like teach us a lot about DNF and the DNF community, and sharing your experience through the ArcRevo World Tour Finals is something really awesome. We don't not many people get to experience a World Finals and event, so that's always going to be appreciated. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of you guys come attending like majors and doing well offline when Street Fighter 6 comes out, and that's just something I'm excited for. But no, just looking forward to the future in that case then.
For sure.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like again, traveling and stuff, seeing everybody again, and the big thing for me is just cheering on the boys. You know what I mean? Just like I've sort of got to a stage with competition like that where it's like there are certain names that when they do really well, and everyone in here is part of that. That when they do well, I'm always buzzing. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't matter how. If I'm even upset at my own result, I'm like, at least they've done. I'm happy with that. So I'm looking forward to that. And again, cheers for coming on, Mystic. Appreciate it as always. Ciao, gang.
Thank you for having me. One thing I did want to show because I forgot to at the first time. This is the medal that I got from the finals. I had it did come with the lanyard, but I took it off to put it in this like case thing.
Yeah.
Like here it is. Don't know if it'll pick up too well, but like this is the Arc World Tour 2022.
That's money right there.
It goes hard.
Yeah, really cool. Thank you guys for having me. Honestly, it's been great. I'm hoping that I will see you guys like traveling. I know everyone is so hungry for SF6, right?
Everyone's super.
Obviously, I'm here to talk about DNF Duel, but like Sully said, the future. I'm a fighting game player through and through. I'm playing anything that's a fighting game. Street Fighter 6 is gonna be so sick. I need to get my run back with Soundboy because we played in the betas in the
SML.
He beat my ass, bro. He really beat my ass. So
I got a head start. I don't know. Everyone's gonna catch up, but I'm gonna get my ass kicked. So.
Oh, chill, man. But yeah, you play amazing. I hope I see. At the very least, I know you guys are gonna go to Headstomper. At least some of you.
Yeah.
But I hope everyone comes to versus fighting. You can't miss versus fighting.
Everyone goes to versus fighting. We've got
everyone's gonna come. So I'll definitely see you guys there at the very least. Yeah, it'll be a great time. It's gonna be it'll be so sick. Be so sick.
That one's gonna be the meetup for all the UK FGC. It's gonna be so dope.
Absolutely. 100%.
And with that is this month's episode finito. Thank you to everyone in the chat who came through. We always appreciate your viewership. Means the world to us. And until next time, meeting adjourned.